Hi, my name is Joe, and this is actually the first video that I've done for specifically for YouTube. So I haven't. It's going to be about mental illness and the struggles that I've gone through to deal with it, and I hadn't really. Honestly, I haven't the faintest idea what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to actually say. So what I have done is I've written a small article, I guess you would call it, that I'm going to read. So at least I have something to talk about today. So I called it Social Anxiety, PTSD, Depression, and Hope. I have severe social anxiety. I have PTSD, I have chronic depression, and I also have hope. Growing up was difficult for me. My father left me when I was 5. I was quite obviously gay. My stepfather was abusive. I was bullied daily at school and sexually molested by several times by 3 different men. By the time I became an adult, I no longer saw people. I only saw threats. Everyone commented on how observant I was and how impressed they were, when actually it was just hypersensitivity to my environment. I was constantly on guard for threats and possible uncomfortable situations. I always sat with my back against the wall. I would look around and make sure that I'm aware of all the exits, see all the corners and the hidden areas in the building, just in case. All of this was absolutely exhausting. And then when I would go to bed, I would have nightmares, being chased, hiding, being dragged along the ground, or just the feeling of overwhelming sadness or evil during the dream for no reason. After approximately 30 years of this, I finally decided that I would see a psychologist. It was a tough decision to make because I was terrified of anyone new, and also because of the stigma associated with seeing a mental health professional. How could I ever live a normal life if I have a mental illness? As if ignoring it meant it didn't exist. What would people say? I asked myself. What if someone found out? I wondered. What if my entire life revolved around what if? What if I can't do this? What if someone laughs at me? What if someone sees me? What if? What if? What if? 2 tiny words by themselves are not particularly potent, but when put together have the power to bring pause, to cause fear, and to change the very life and essence of a person, to make a child who hoped to one day make a difference in the world, leave the world just a little bit brighter than when he came into it, stop and cringe at just the tiny little task of opening the front door and going to school. As an adult, fearful of calling the credit card companies to tell them that the payment would be a little bit late, it was easier just to incur the fees than to have to call them. What if the person on the phone judges me as a delinquent? What if the person on the phone doesn't like me and decides to cancel my card? What if? What if? What if? I did finally go to the psychologist. I always felt just a little bit better when I left. However, she just wasn't the right person for me. She questioned me when I said I was gay, and when after a few weeks I told her that yes, I am gay, I have thought about it and decided yes, I am, she simply said, okay. So I stopped going to her. It was expensive anyways. I didn't have a lot of money, and what if I needed the money for an emergency, as if I ever saved anything for emergencies? What if she was actually a homophobe, and going to her was a bad idea? Again, what if? What if? What if? After a few more years, I went to another psychologist. This time I went because I had an addiction to food. The first time we met, I sat across from her and told her a little bit about me. She said that the Native Americans, a long time ago, thought of homosexuals as special people who were able to project both male and female, and that they celebrated this. Finally, I had found someone who I could tell my stories without fear, or at least not as much fear. Little did I know that 10 years later, and what I can only imagine the limitless patience a person can muster, I have hope. I've changed my vocabulary by the smallest amount. One little letter, completely insignificant by itself. I replaced the F with an S. Such a small change, such an enormous consequence. What if has become what is? What if no longer rules my life? What is helps me to stay present. What is happening is change. What is my life going forward is hope. What is the only thing that matters. What if makes us fearful. What is gives us hope. So that's actually what I wrote. It took me a long time to come to this realization, and I would just say to a lot of people out there, because there are a lot of people dealing with mental illness. I mean, I would dare say that everybody at some point in their lives deals with a mental illness of anxiety, depression, of some sort. But what I would say is don't wait. Seek out help. Talk to people. Talk to a psychologist. Call a helpline. Do whatever. Just don't keep it inside. I kept it inside for way too long, and it's taken me way too long to get over it. I'm still getting over it. But, as I said, I have hope.